Everyone keeps asking me, can you really buy a reliable car for under 100,000 Rand? So I browsed through dozens of cars, drove 300 kilometers and actually bought one. In this video, I'm going to show you how I find the good ones and how you can avoid getting trapped. Now, in my last video, I warned against ads that show very low monthly payments with long payment terms and balloon payments hidden at the end. My suggestion was to rather save up, buy a second-hand car and invest the rest in a tax-free savings account. Now, I promised to show you my process of buying a cheap, reliable second-hand car that can serve you for many years. And no, it's not this smart car behind me. Yes, it was cheap, but it's a very bad idea. I start by jumping into the WeBuyCars website. I'll filter for maximum price, 100,000, and I'll pick the branches near me. Unfortunately, I have to drive at least 3 hours to get to Polokwane or Mbombela, but you might be closer to some of the main centers. Now, the reason why I prefer WeBuyCars is they have thousands of cars that you can browse from your computer, and then when you drive there, there's hundreds and hundreds of cars that you can see in person. And you know it's a safe transaction if you do your homework. Whereas Facebook Marketplace, I just searched for Corolla here and you can see that's a scam, that's unsure, that's definitely a scam, 23,000 for a 2011 Corolla, that's unsure, this is a scam, that's possibly a scam, 20,000 definitely a scam. Just take a look and you'll see 9,000. It's impossible to know which cars are real, and also when you get there, are they going to steal your money and mug you? And then car dealerships are just way too expensive. And also you don't know whether you can trust them. So now we've filtered. I'm going to take it from high to low. So we'll start at 100,000. That's half the price of the cheapest new car, the Toyota Yaris. So I'm just quickly going to scroll down and give my first thoughts. So I would stay away from American cars, the Jeeps. Yes, it looks like good value, but parts are expensive. If something breaks, it's going to cost half the price of what you paid. The Ford EcoSports, there are lots of them at the Polokwane branch when I was there. And even the salesman said, trouble. There's a problem with one of the cylinders design, so just stay away. And this Mercedes GL, there's a reason why you can buy a 2008 Mercedes GL 320 CDI like this. It looks very clean, big, massive car. There's a reason why you can buy this for the same price as a Polo Vivo. This Polo is going to be much easier and cheaper to maintain and keep on the road. Stay away from luxury German cars, American cars. Here's a Porsche for under 100,000. You might be tempted, don't do it. This Audi, very expensive. If the gearbox goes, it's electronic, 150,000 Rand to fix. So I actually saw this Mercedes C-Class C200 Estate at 88,900. This might seem like good value. I actually did a walk around of the car when I was at the Polokwane branch to buy one of the cars I'm going to show you in this video, and it actually looks pretty clean. The problem with these are it's getting complicated and complex to work on it. Not any mechanic can help you out, and parts are getting expensive. So if you don't know what you're doing, stay away from these luxury cars. Subaru, you can get them for cheap, fun cars, good cars, but yeah, stay away from that boxer engine. Parts are also going to be expensive. Another thing, maybe it's a bias, but stay away from French cars. They also give trouble. One of the mechanics that I trust a lot said he never works on them. It is just difficult to find parts, and electronics can be weird. Stay away from French cars. Mini Coopers, we've owned one. Parts are expensive, good cars, but also tricky to work on. Don't do it. You can see how cheap these cars get. Under 50,000 for an Audi and a BMW. And I'm not saying it's bad cars. And yes, if you know what you're doing, you can actually keep them on the road, and if they were maintained properly. The problem is, if you take it to a shop, the labor is gonna kill you. So especially also stay away from high mileage diesels. Diesels can be very expensive if you need to replace stuff like injectors, for instance. So what I would rather go for is a older, late 90s, early 2000 Japanese car like this Toyota Corolla. This is a 1.8i GSX with 330,000 kilometers on the clock. Now, I don't worry too much about mileage if the car is clean. If the interior is clean, it's not modified, and especially if it has a service history, this one doesn't, then I wouldn't worry about a high mileage car. If someone could keep it this clean over that many kilometers, it was probably looked after quite well. Let's look at the condition report. There's covers missing on a link rod, like some part of the suspension, and there's an oil leak in the gearbox, and that's minor issues that most mechanics will be able to fix, and if you can DIY it, even better. So this is actually a car, I know it's boring, but when it comes to reliability and economic ownership, boring is better. Here's another old Japanese car, and you might be laughing. Taz doesn't have airbags, ABS, any of that, but remember, the driver is the most important safety feature in a car. This Taz will last forever, especially this 1.3. And if we look inside, the seats look still fine. 220,000 kilometers on the clock, that is nothing for the Taz. These can go forever, and they're super cheap to fix and maintain. Let's look at the condition report. Tire bulb, left rear, left front, wheel nut missing. I mean, there's nothing wrong with this car according to this report. Obviously, when you go and inspect it, you have to do your homework or take a mechanic with. A little bit later in this video, I'll show you on one of my cars what I look for when I inspect a car just before I sign. Look at this clean engine bay. This is actually a very great car. Yes, this price is expensive for what you get, but this car will last a whole lot longer than a brand new car for 200,000. Some of the later Korean cars are also very well built and easy to maintain, cheap parts. This, you might laugh at this, but I still want one of these, a little Hyundai Autos, 67,000. They are actually getting expensive. You could find them for less than 50,000, maybe not as clean as this. This only 85,000 kilometers. That's nothing for these. I've seen many of these over 200,000 kilometers. It looks very clean, well looked after. To look at those seats. So this is actually a great little buy. Partial service history, only door handle broken, tire pulled. That's it. So this is actually a great little car for a first time buyer. Now these cars, someone actually mentioned it in the comments, though these are great value. 137,000 kilometers, that's nothing. These can easily do 300,000 kilometers. 2006 1.6 Hyundai Getz for 66,000. This is actually, I still want to buy one of these. It's got aircon, it's got airbags. This one actually looks pretty clean at this price. Let's look at the condition report. Power windows inoperative or jammed, pedal rubbers missing, reverse lights not working. All minor issues that you can fix yourself, or someone that you trust can quickly fix it for you. This is a great little car at that price. And then finally, this Toyota Corolla. This is a 2002 1.6. These are amazing cars. 66,000, that's actually not that much if you compare it to that Taz. But look at, there's something that troubles me with this one. Look at all the issues there, and it's major issues. Like, for instance, crumple zones are compromised. It means it was in an accident, so stay away from cars like that. Here, the expansion bottle is cracked, so it could have lost coolant and overheated. Big issue. Loud knocking and grinding in the engine. So I would immediately walk away from something like this. Cradle for the radiator is cracked, so front end damage. Walk away from any accident damaged cars. So to put my money where my mouth is, I actually drove 3 hours to the Polokwane WeBuyCars branch to do a walk around of some of these cars that I picked, and I actually ended up buying one. So comment below with the one that you think I bought. The first one is this ugly little yellow Yaris. It actually looks better in real life than what it did on the website. It was on auction at 49,000. It didn't end up selling. I was too late. You can see the scuffs on the door there. It had 287,000 kilometers on the clock, and it was relisted at 56,000. And a day later, it was actually sold. Now these can do mega miles and they are cheap and easy to maintain. Parts are everywhere, so a very good little first car. Next is this 2012 Honda Jazz. Looks very clean, 220,000 kilometers on the clock. It was 70,000 and the price dropped to 62,000. These cars can also go on forever, very easy to maintain, and this one was also sold a day later. This 2001 1.6 GLE Corolla had some scuffs on the bumpers, but apart from that it looked pretty clean. Again, this one had I think 250,000 kilometers on the clock. It was listed for 66,000. They are very, very reliable and easy to maintain yourself. You can keep these on the road forever. And this one was also sold the same day. Here's that Mercedes. It's got a crack on the windscreen, and apart from that it looks in good condition. And this could be very tempting. 280,000 kilometers. This is very tempting, but stay away from these German cars. And the last one is this. It's a little bit over 100,000, 170,000 Ks. Polo Vivo 1.6 Max. It's got the body trim and it looks in a very good condition. I mean, I would rather buy something like this instead of a new car for 200,000. So this is a quick look at what I would look at when I inspect a car. First thing is you want to look for accident damage in the front. So look at the body and see if there's anything that's been welded or repaired. You can also usually see from the lights if it's broken here, if the radiator cradle, everything is still straight. So the first thing, the most important thing is just look around the bodywork for accident damage. Then you want to check that the oil is not milky inside. It should be black or oil colored. You can also take out the dipstick. It should not be milkshake colored, because then it means there's water in it, and that means head gasket. You can also check, or you should check, the coolant. It should not be empty. It should not be brown like river water, because there's rust in it, or if it's milkshake, then there's oil in it. You can also check the expansion tank, so it should be pink or blue or green, so you know there's coolant in it. You can check the other fluids, but those are the important ones. And next we'll start the engine and listen for any weird noises. Okay, so turn on the key, all the lights will obviously go on, and then when you start it, they should all go off. So that's just the handbrake light, but there shouldn't be any lights on the dash. So this is good. Idle is steady. Obviously when it's cold it will be higher, but it shouldn't jump up and down. And then in the engine it should idle smoothly. There's a little bit of a tick, which is fine, the injector's tick, but no erratic idle. Then also let someone blip the throttle and check for smoke. It shouldn't smoke when they step on the gas and let off again. But again, listen at the sound of the engine. There shouldn't be any misfires or idling issues. And then obviously take the car for a drive. The clutch should feel smooth. The gear should change easily. If you step on the gas in second or third gear while driving slowly, the ref shouldn't pick up quickly without the speed picking up, because then the clutch is slipping. And then any weird noises from the suspension. But the most important for me is the engine and the gearbox and the clutch, and definitely the cooling system. And also then in the car, let it idle for at least 10 to 15 minutes and check that the temperature gauge goes sit right there, like a third of the way up. After the test drive, it shouldn't go anything past halfway. And when the car is just idling in the showroom for at least 10 to 15 minutes, it shouldn't go anywhere close to the red. So cooling issues is definitely super important. And then underneath, make sure the car is dry. This one is dripping oil there. I think it's the rear main seal. It's my wife's car. We need to fix that. But you don't want massive oil leaks coming from between the engine and the gearbox. Obviously, there's a whole lot more to it. So take a mechanic friend with, or someone you trust. but make sure that you inspect the vehicle very well. I'll make a separate video just on that if you want. So comment below if that's something you'd like to see. So I've shared my process. Let me know in the comments if you have any tips buying a second-hand car. And then subscribe or stay tuned for next week when I reveal which of these cars I actually took home. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.